Welcome to the Vol Bros, presented by the Ooltewah Club. My name is Evan. This is my brother Ruston, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And as always, we're very proud to represent the University of Tennessee on the Believe Entertainment Network. I apologize for the late start tonight. That is my fault. It got to be 9 o'clock, and Ruston hadn't joined yet. And I was like, I wonder where he is. And because I hadn't sent him the link yet. And so that's my fault. But before we do anything else, we have one very special announcement, I think at least, in the history of our show, which we started the year, first week of November in 2022. For the first time in the history of our show, someone on our show correctly predicted to the dot the score of the game, and that is our channel member, Mr. Billy Franklin. So Billy, I posted that on our socials last night after the game. He correctly predicted 34-31 Tennessee win. That is very impressive, Billy. But I'm going to be honest with you, we have a really special show this evening because we have a radio legend joining us tonight. Not one, not two, not three, a four-time Golden Mike Award winner, a two-time Best Morning Drive Radio Show Award winner, and a three-time nominee for Best Radio Show in his region. And I just found out was recruited to Tennessee by Ray Mears. I did not know that in the Ernie and Bernie days. So we are extremely excited to have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Christopher Gabriel with us. CG, welcome so much to the Vol Bros.
Gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to be with you. And you know what that means about Bernie and Ernie and Bernie is that I'm old. I'm older, but yeah, that was a fun time back then. It didn't quite work out, more because of me. It was an academic thing. UT didn't have quite the major that I needed at the time, but you know, I've been a Vols fan most of my life. My wife and I were season ticket holders for 22 years. We used to drive in from New York City, from Chicago. There's nothing like it. Quick sidebar for you. I tell friends out here at Fresno State who don't know my background, they'll be like, you know what, CG, when the stadium fills up for Fresno State games at 40,000, you've never heard anything like it. It's like, yeah. Yes, I have. And by the way, I know it's dark there, and I missed the memo. I didn't wear the black Tennessee shirt or the black shirt. But it is 73 degrees outside here in the Central Valley. So it is my great pleasure to join you guys. I've enjoyed your work for a long time, and I'm glad to be a part of it, small part of it tonight.
Well, the black shirts was not intentional. It was just a random thing. And honestly, the fact that I have on a collar is probably minorly miraculous. I'm usually pretty laid back.
Right on.
Yeah, Ruston is the unfortunate recipient of a lot of surprise questions on this show that typically I'll think of about 10 minutes before we go on. I'm like, oh, that'd be a really good topic. And then I'll surprise him just with everybody else that's watching as well.
Welcome to my world every day. Yeah.
CG, I'm curious, where did you end up playing college basketball?
I was going to be a walk-on at USC because they didn't recruit me, and that was when Bob Boyd was transitioning to Stan Morrison, and SC had a pretty good team, but I was a theater major. I was that weird combo of a stage actor and an athlete. And John Houseman, I think we probably remember John Houseman from Paper Chase, founder of Juilliard. He was the head of the theater department. He's the one who auditioned me and brought me in, and he came to watch a scrimmage in what's known as the men's gym at USC. And he brought me aside afterwards and he said, Mr. Gabriel, you're going to have to decide whether you want to play this game with the sphere or you want to join us on the boards. And the problem was, it was my major. I was a BFA, and the season literally ran from October to April. And I was never going to get on stage. And so I had to bypass basketball. But man, I tell you, it is, as I was telling Evan earlier, it's the one regret I have. I would have played in Stokely. I wouldn't have been a starter, but I probably would have been 6th, 7th man, somewhere in there. It would have been such an honor to play on that team with that coach.
Yep.
Well, CG, just so you know, every Sunday night when we go live to recap, and I know I gave you these questions ahead of time, so I'm not totally surprising him like I do Ruston sometimes. But everybody in the comments, we have our standard, mode of operation is we're going to all give our thoughts about what happened yesterday. I'm sure, as I can see in the comments already, I'm sure officiating will never come up during the show. And then after that, we'll give our plays of the game and players of the game. So if you're watching along with us right now, which we appreciate everybody who is and already making comments, this is my favorite comment so far. Billy got the correct prediction for this week. So Rhonda asked Billy, please have a good prediction for this week too. That's amazing.
And your guy Herb asked if I'm the guy that joins the drive on Fox Sports Knoxville, and I am that same CG.
He sure is.
There better not be another one, but I am that guy.
You probably hear him quite frequently on Fox Sports Knoxville. Absolutely. So, CG, we'll start with you. You're our guest. What were your general thoughts and takeaways from what you saw yesterday between the Vols and the Hogs?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how much of Bobby Petrino's arrival affected this team's performance. I think I probably discounted it more than I should have, because you had the same talent out there. You had plenty of film on them, but scheme is a big thing. I'm not breaking anything for either of you. And I really think it took us over a half to kind of get into the groove of what they were doing. And that's not really an excuse. It's just, I think that's just reality.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first thing that I noticed. The second thing is I would really, I know time of the game matters. And so in the latter parts of the game, Coach Heupel was both trying to, extend the lead, but also drain that clock. The defense was not doing much to stop their rushing game. So he was trying to walk that fine line. However, I really feel very strongly about the fact that there has been this trend, and I'm a big Josh Heupel fan. The day after he was hired, as some background, I went on ESPN Memphis. I went on, I forget what show it was in Nashville, and Fox Sports Knoxville said, I think it's a great hire, and I'm still very much in support of him. But what concerns me, guys, is I feel at times he plays a little bit on the meter, a little bit of not to lose. And he goes a little softer than he can. We all know, everybody in the Western Hemisphere knows when it's second and long, he's running it up the middle. He's not, and he never fools anybody. And listen, I'm not a play caller. I've never been a coach like Ruston. I'm not that. I'm just a fan and a media guy with an opinion. But I'd like to see us change that up a little bit, because when we saw that yesterday, a number of times, all it meant to me, guys, was that it was giving us one shot to get the first down. And that was it. And the other takeaway, and I've talked about this with a number of folks, and maybe you as well privately, Evan, and that is that, remember at the beginning of the year, we were all so concerned about, what are we going to do? We don't have a receivers room. We have a receivers room. And I'll put our three guys up against along with Kitzelman, I'll put those four up against anybody. I'm not saying they're better, but I'll put them up against anybody. They run great routes. They have great hands, and they are able to do something after they catch the ball. So those are some general takeaways that I saw. And the other thing, we must, I'm going to light a candle in, I'm Greek. I'm going to light a candle in the Greek church for us to get off the field after third down.
Amen. Well, Ruston, what were your general thoughts and takeaways from what you saw yesterday?
So I had a lot of thoughts, and I was trying to consolidate them because it can go so many different directions. I think offensively, I agree with Chris. It feels like a lot of time, or Christopher, I feel like there's a lot of times we're trying to get to third and manageable, rather than trying to maybe go get the first down on second down. And letting guys be players. I was very, very surprised at how little we targeted Chris Brazzell. And what surprised me about it was they weren't double covering him. So I don't know if it was we were just terrified of the DB that was covering him, but he was in a lot of one-on-one situations all night, and we didn't go after it. And so that part really surprised me. Even possibly, going a trip set or a twin set and motioning the tight end out and throwing a screen to him and getting him a little bit of running room. We didn't even try that. it really surprised me that we just kind of excluded him from the offense all night. I felt like we had a lot of missed opportunities there. Fantastic job by Braylon Staley and Mike Matthews picking up the slack. Deshaun Bishop was outstanding. I thought overall the offensive line did a much better job run blocking than they have the last couple of weeks. Defensively, I broke my rule. During the first half, I got on Twitter. I was just reading things, and never should have done that, because I never cease to be amazed at how many people say some of the most profoundly stupid things I've ever heard in my life after 2 series of college football.
Twitter is known to be a beacon of rationality and objectivity.
Holy cow. People are going to have to wrap their minds around Tim Banks' philosophy is feast or famine. It's, we're going to bend but don't break. Every once in a while, we're going to give up some big plays, but we're going to prolong drives, and we're going to continually try to create fumbles, create interceptions, find ways to turn the ball over or get a stop. But because of the way he plays, they're going to give up a lot of third downs, because the reality is he's not going to send a bunch of guys. Like, he's proven that for years now. He's going to look at the front 4 and say, I need you 4 to get home. We're all dropping in coverage. So you have a good day, we have a good day. You don't get to the quarterback, we're going to give up a lot of third downs. So it's just the nature of how he does things. I have never in my life – the man gave up 17 points in the first half. Okay, that is not awful. I've never in my life seen so many people saying we've got to fire Tim Banks. I'm like, the delusion was unbelievable.
Can I add one thing to what he said?
Absolutely.
I don't know what the flow is, and so if I'm disrupting the flow,
you're good.
You are
just
the flow,
in.
CG. You run this show.
Oh, I'm just a speck of sand on the beach. Something that Ruston said. So out here, when Jeff, and this is absolutely applicable, when Jeff Tedford took over Fresno State, his offensive coordinator was a fellow named Kalen DeBoer. Kalen and I have become friends. I only say that because we have agreed not to talk this week. And his defensive coordinator was a guy named Orlando Steinauer. Orlando is now the president of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And Orlando came on my show one day after Fresno State had given up. They beat Air Force, but they gave up to that crazy run and attack like 700 plus yards. And I could not even get the question out of my mouth to Orlando about the yardage. And he said, "Did we win the game?" And I said, "Yes, you did, Coach." But he goes, "Did we win the game?" And then he went into this diatribe against me, and he was right about every single thing he said. And so as I revert back to what Ruston said, you see people losing their minds, and we collectively forget we're going for the W. We're not going for the yardage trophy. We're going for the W. And I think a lot of times fans and media guys, right, we forget ourselves a little bit. We want a perfect game. But what Tim Banks does here at Tennessee is what he did at Penn State. And frankly, Penn State was better then. I don't care about Penn State. But so to Rustin's point, he's absolutely right. Let's focus on this and not the yards.
Yep.
At the end of the day, as long as you got one more point than them, the playoff selection committee likes you.
That's it.
A couple comments real quick before I give my thoughts. So when I mentioned officiating earlier, Stingray had a good point. He said, "No, 10-1 penalties. That's fair." And I'm gonna put this up here
because I've seen that several times. It was actually, and this still isn't good, but it was actually 10-3. We declined to. So people like to use numbers to their advantage when they aren't necessarily always accurate.
I'm putting this on here because today is Brennan's birthday. And so, Brennan, happy birthday, buddy. We're glad you're with us tonight. You could be spending your birthday doing a whole lot more fun things, I'm sure. But we appreciate you joining the Vol Bros and CG tonight on the show. That's awesome, man. My general thoughts and takeaways. So, I mean, the story of the game was the defense. What seemed like was water running through a sieve at times. The story was the defense. And we can sit here and talk about how bad they were, but then let's flip it and look at it from an Arkansas perspective. If you're Arkansas and you allow the other team to have 5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 3 of which the other team recovered, how do you expect to win the game? And I think that was the story of the game. So here we are talking about, and understandably and rightfully so, that the defense gave up way too many easy plays, that kind of thing. And sure, I agree totally they did. There was one particular time, I think it was Boo Carter, got totally lost in coverage. I mean, it was just,
that happened a lot more than once.
Yeah. And so we can sit here and talk about all that, but without those 3 turnovers, without those 5 sacks, we lose that game. So yes, the defense kept Arkansas in it for sure, but the defense also won us the game. Very much like you mentioned, feast or famine. I know Jordan Moore posted a tweet about that earlier too. Just a couple other fun things that I thought of while we were watching it. On our preview show, I said I think that this week we're really going to get to see the 3-headed monster in the backfield. And turns out that's what happened. I almost had the score prediction. I almost did. I said 41-31. So if we had scored one more touchdown, I would have been Billy Franklin. But oh well. Billy got it, not me, and that's fine. We got more points than them, so I'm cool. Deshaun Bishop had his best game as of all. Just absolutely incredible. Fantastic. When Peyton Lewis came in, he had some grown man runs at the end of that game. His first touchdown, he dives for the end zone, doesn't get in, lands on his feet, and keeps running and moves the pile by himself into the end zone.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
His second touchdown. I mean, I was afraid the dude, he collided with that guy head on so hard. I was like, man, I hope he gets up and walks off the field. And he hopped right up. That adrenaline was pumping, man. I will say this. There was with 4 minutes and 58 seconds left. We're trying to run out the clock, which is a good thing to do. I get that. I understand that. It was 3rd and 3. We didn't convert. We had to punt. I'm just throwing this out there. Everybody can go back and watch that play. 3rd and 3 with 4 minutes and 58 seconds left. If Joey keeps the ball and does not hand it off, it's a first down, and the game's over.
Yep.
He had 15 yards of daylight in front of him with no defender. So everybody, obviously, listen, I'm not a huge fan of Heupel taking the foot off the gas anyway, but you're also trying to manage the clock, just like CG was saying earlier. You're trying to play percentages and win. He played the correct percentages because that should have been a first down and the game's over. I mean, it worked. We just made the wrong decision on the play. And then I do have to say this before we move on to our player of the game. I'm going to pose this question to both of you gentlemen. On 4th down, was it a snap infraction? Have you ever seen a call so bad in your entire life until 2 hours later in the Georgia and Auburn game?
That call, I found myself having to go and look up the rule to see if what I saw matched. And I guess all I could think of, Coach Heupel, I think, was all of us. When they showed him on the sideline, because, I always try to say, and I always tell folks, and I tell folks on my show here, when we talk about officiating, that we as fans tend to focus in on our team. So we see the terrible things that happen, but it's happening to the other guys too, yes. Which is, doesn't make it better or worse. They're not getting calls either. As you just mentioned, that Auburn-Georgia game, that was as bad as it gets. But that singular moment was as bad as it gets. And I don't know what behind the scenes a Danny White does, because he's not going to publicly attack Sankey. He's never going to do that. But I do think that play, if nothing else, fellas, warrants a phone call and some videotape and saying, you know what, this is wrong. They blew this call, and that could have cost. Maybe he says it could have cost us the game. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it was egregious. It was awful.
Totally agree.
The problem they have is they can't fix it, because if you look around the conference, the exact same crews are making the exact same mistakes in every single conference game yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's not like they can go, okay, this group's going to be demoted. We're going to use these in our marquee games. They're all bad. And for the last 4 or 5 years, they've progressively gotten worse every single year. And that's been my biggest complaint about the SEC is you've got $1 billion organization, but your refs are part-timers who get paid by the game. Yeah. Like, it makes zero sense.
Fellas, I was at this taco barbecue. A buddy of mine came back with 200 pounds of halibut from Alaska. So they said, let's have a fish taco night. Reason I mentioned that is because there's a giant screen on the screen. They had the Auburn-Georgia game. At that function last night was a husband and wife who both were Georgia alums, our Georgia alums. And even we saw that play out live, and even they said, okay, that's wrong. That's even they. So I thought,
yeah.
If they're saying that, I mean,
there
Absolutely.
was 2 controversial calls in the Alabama-Missouri game yesterday. There was a controversial call in the Florida-Texas A&M game. And if you look at all those calls that were throughout the day, I think there was a total of 6, I believe, maybe 5 between all the SEC games. They got every one of them wrong. There wasn't a single one all day that they got right. And, that's what drives me nuts.
To make it even worse, the deal with the fumble, no fumble, who's on first, what's on second deal at the end of the first half in the Georgia Auburn game, even after the review, it was still wrong. That's my thing. Like, I get it. It's happening so fast, milliseconds in real time, but that's why we have review. And so if you have review, at least get it right after that. And they still did.
And that's the second time this year Auburn has had a game-changing play go against them, and then the review be in their favor, but still not go in their favor, which I don't know why you have a review if you're not going to use it to get the call right.
We all watch a lot of football, and being out here, I cover the Mountain West and the former Pac-12, and it's disturbing that I'll just use the Mountain West as an example. Gloria Nevarez is the commissioner, and she has a much better handle on officiating for the Mountain West, a group of 5 conference, than the folks in the SC and Greg Sankey. I see so much better officiating out here. With all due respect, it should be, if anything, it should be reversed. Because of the money with the SEC and the prominence of the conference. It's just the whole thing is screwed up.
Totally.
Well, even the ACC, I think the live look in the ACC has gone to where you get to hear the conversation on instant replay. Like, they're going to make sure they get it right every single time because they know the entire world is watching that conversation. I think the SEC needs that same accountability. Put those jokers on screen and let's hear what's really happening in that conversation.
Heck yeah.
To Scott, welcome, Scott. Glad you're with us. And I apologize, I'm jumping way ahead in the comments. Normally, I try to read every single comment, but I'm jumping way ahead. Scott made a great point. He said, to the folks complaining about officiating last night, this is good practice for this upcoming Saturday. Do we ever get calls in Tuscaloosa? That's a fair point, dude. That's a fair point.
I said to somebody, I wonder if it was Evan in a DM that I sent this to, but at one point in the game yesterday, I said, the only thing about our game with Arkansas that I didn't understand is that I didn't realize the game was being played in Tuscaloosa. Because that's what it felt like,
Absolutely. Jonathan, welcome, buddy. Great point here. He said, I really hope Bishop is all right and he'll be able to play this weekend. Great point. I think it sounds like he will be.
Yeah,
sounds like he'll be ready to go.
Fine.
Have you guys noticed though? As long as he brought that up, and I don't want to try to make light of injuries, but Josh Heupel could go to the NHL. because he could have a guy that has lost 2 legs and be like, that's a lower body injury. He's working hard in rehab, and we're hoping
or
for
an upper body. He'll call it an upper body injury.
Right.
You're exactly right. Yeah, you cannot trust a single thing that comes out of the UT Athletics department about anything injury related.
Well, what makes it even better is the fake injuries on extra points. You know, those dudes never ever show up on the injury report. they're not even listed.
That's a good point. Bobby, welcome, buddy. He said, do you think the coaching change at Arkansas messed with our defense's preparation?
Yeah.
I think it messed with both sides.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about it last week. Chris Wilson, he did a lot of the same things he did at Mississippi State. We talked about that some, and I saw a lot of that stuff. But I don't think on either side of the ball. And honestly, I've watched Arkansas a lot this year. It felt like Petrino called the game a little differently than he normally does. So I don't know if that was internal stuff between him and Sam Pittman, but I think on both sides of the ball, it was a crapshoot. They had no idea what they were walking into or what they were going to see. I also thought Petrino did a really good job of recognizing that we suck against power run. And he multiple times loaded up with power, off tackle power, counter power. I mean, it felt like there was a guy pulling on every run play. You know, I think we've got to fix that. Like, somebody's got to get tougher at the point of attack, and we've got to stop allowing big runs on first down.
And you know, to your point, and to that question, I think a lot of times fans forget. I think sometimes fans and media guys, we forget that when we're seeing things that have gone awry, it's not like the coaching staff's like, oh, really? We had a problem with that? They see the same things. They have the numbers. They know what they're doing, and they are darn well trying to fix this stuff. They're doing the best they can. Listen, can we play better? Right. An entire season is testing and measuring. You're testing things, you're measuring things, and then you're adjusting things, and you're going back and doing it all over again the following Saturday.
Absolutely. Well, so at this point, we're going to go to our second question, which is our player of the game. And we would love to hear everybody in the comments, your player of the game. And I'll be happy to show all those on the screen. Let us know in the comments who your player of the game was. CG, who was your player of the game for the Vols yesterday?
For me, hands down, it was Braylon Staley. 6 receptions, 109 yards. And it wasn't even so much the numbers. It was at least half of his catches. He was backing up, and it was hands way up here, and he was off balance, and he was bringing those in. And I'm thinking, and you both can appreciate this certainly, how many times over the years a Tennessee receiver is dropping those balls. And he sucked one of those up like a Hoover going after dust. And I think that the times that he made those catches kept drives going, got the crowd jacked up, got his teammates jacked up. And some might say it was just 6 receptions, but it was 6 that we needed to have. It was 109 yards that we needed to have. And I just love that young man's hands. And when, for whatever reason, as Ruston said earlier, for whatever reason that we weren't finding Brazel, he stepped up, or as I like to say, he met the moment. And I thought that was, for me, that was big.
100%. Ruston, who was your player of the game?
Yeah, honorable mention for Braylon Staley. Thought, as CG said, thought he really stepped up and played well. Big honorable mention for Jordan Ross, not just because of the big plays he made, but I felt like across the board, he did a really nice job defensively. He was in position. He assignment and alignment. He did it well. Felt like he had his best game as a Vol since he's been in Knoxville. But you know, that game was won in the trenches, and Deshaun Bishop, 14 carries, 150 yards with 1 touchdown, average over 10 yards a carry. Just a huge night. So I'll take Deshaun.
Well, I think y'all two just hit the only 2 guys that, because in my mind, there were only 2 options here, and it was either Braylon Staley or Deshaun Bishop. I will give an honorable mention, though, like you did, to a combination of Joshua Josephs and Jordan Ross. The 2 of those guys impacted the game. Josephs had the strip sack later in the game. I will say this, though, and this was almost
Joshua Joseph also had the containment bust when we went cover zero and should have sacked. It was a fantastic call by Tim Banks. Should have sacked Talon for a 10-yard loss and instead gave up a 22-yard run because Joshua Josephs didn't do his job.
Yeah. I will give also Jordan Ross credit. How many times do you see a fumble and people are struggling so hard to pick the ball up off the ground and run with it? I mean, like it's batting all over the place. 10 yards down the field, people are trying to finally dive on it because they can't pick it up. And maybe the smoothest fumble recovery in the history of college football yesterday. Jordan Ross, so calmly and collective. I mean, just so nonchalant, just reached down with one hand and picked the ball up off the ground and took off running. I was like, why can't everybody do it like that? I mean, he made it look so easy.
It doesn't hurt when your hands are as big as your head.
That's true. Exactly.
He's a large human being.
Well, so my player of the game, I chose Braylon Staley. I had to. He was the offense in critical moments in the first half. If Braylon Staley is not running routes yesterday, we do not win that game because we would have been down severely at halftime. In the first half, Braylon Staley was the Tennessee offense. Obviously, Deshaun Bishop was too. Deshaun's best, both of them, it's their best game as Vols since they've been here. So, loved seeing both of those dudes have just such an awesome game. Some of the folks in the comments said, let's see here. Clay said Deshaun Bishop was his player of the game. Backflip Spaghetti, there's channel member. Welcome. He said Braylon also his player of the game. Tony, welcome, buddy. He said Jordan Ross. Audrey, there's channel member. That's our good friend Audrey. She said Braylon Staley, Jordan Ross, and Colton Hood. Oh, that's a good choice as well. Colton Hood. Colton had a great game yesterday. Let's see here. Brennan, birthday man, said Braylon Staley. Backflip Spaghetti, he chose Braylon Staley. He also said he was his predicted player to break out this year too. That's what I'm talking about. That's a good choice. Stingray said Braylon Staley. Clay said, Clay chose Deshaun Bishop, but he said Staley did great too. Mino Lackey, welcome Mino Lackey. Here's channel member. She said Jordan Ross. Let's see here. Herb said same three guys: Deshaun Bishop, Braylon Staley, Jordan Ross. Backflip Spaghetti said Kitzelman had a much improved game as well. It was good to see him get a touchdown catch. The catch over his head in the first quarter was very impressive.
I'm a big fan of that name, by the way, Backflip Spaghetti. I love that. I'd like to know the backstory on that. That's fantastic.
Backflip Spaghetti also said for his play of the game, honorable mention for the 52-yard field goal. Bobby said Deshaun Bishop is his player of the game. Rhonda also mentioned the 52-yard field goal. Let's see here. Jonathan said his player of the game was the running backs for the offense and the defensive line for the defense. Scott said, I would say Deshaun Bishop, but Peyton Lewis ran just as well. So I would be inclined to agree with CG. Staley made up for the Mississippi State game with Brazel having an off night. Let's see here. Backflip Spaghetti talking about Staley's catches said he did it smooth too. The difficult catches making it look easy. Mina like it. Ooh, hey, there's a nice choice there. She said Joshua Josephs, but also Jaden Perlotti. Hey, I'm tell you what, Jaden Perlotti is somebody they're going to have step up in a big way this Saturday. With Edwin Spillman not being able to play in the first half, he's got to step in and have some serious minutes.
We're not doing it as much on offense, and I understand why, but I love the defensive development that I'm seeing. Jaden Perlotti, Jaden Harmon, Sidney Walton played a ton of snaps on Saturday, and I was extremely impressed with him. I thought he did a fantastic job. Ethan Utley, Isaiah Campbell, the Robinson kid, like we are playing a lot of young guys and getting them significant reps. And that is going to be huge for next year. Sidney Walton may, depending on what happens with Boo Carter, Sidney Walton may be the starting safety in Andre Turrentine's spot. So to be splitting reps with Andre right now, almost 50-50, that is enormous for next year.
You know what's interesting, as the three of us are talking, and this great chat comment area, which is wonderful. There's one name that hasn't come up, and I think we should at least put him in some sort of honorable mention category, and that's Joey Aguilar.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's the guy getting the ball to everybody. He's the guy.
Absolutely.
You know, I love when we saw the SEC Network's cameras close in on him, and you never saw panic. It didn't matter what the score was. He just calm and like, okay, here's what we're doing, nodding over there, looking over there. And I love his steady, calm, measured leadership. I don't know that I don't think we're overlooking it, but let's just make sure we don't overlook it, because he is something back there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He was also our second leading rusher. He averaged 11 yards a carry and had 60 yards on the ground.
I didn't even realize that.
I love. Yeah, he was 5 carries for 59 yards, and all 5, I think 1 was a scramble. The other 4 were designed quarterback runs, which I love that. I love that they're going, okay, we trust him enough. He's going to go get it done.
Hey, one of those maybe that's foreshadowing, because one of those may be mentioned in our play of the game here in a minute. Oreo Puppy Dog, that's another great name right there for you, CG. Oreo Puppy Dog said Max Gilbert was this player of the game. He didn't miss yesterday. That's true, he didn't. Brennan, talking about Jordan Ross's fumble recovery, said it blew my mind how quickly he realized the quarterback didn't have the ball and then found the ball. I agree totally. Mina Lackey, she said Joey Aguilar, player of the game. Absolutely. Jonathan said, I was hard on Kitzelman after the Mississippi State game, but he definitely redeemed himself yesterday. Probably his best game as a Vol. Corey, welcome, buddy. He said we need to recruit better defensively. On the back end, maybe. We'll see when those young guys get some age on them there. Let's see.
What? No. Ty Redmond shouldn't even be on the field, and
I agree, yeah.
He's playing lights out as a true freshman.
Yeah.
Sidney Walton steps in and plays probably 30 snaps yesterday at safety and did a fantastic job as a true freshman. Jordan Thomas has never stepped foot on the field this year. McCoy's still out. Gibson's out. Like, these young guys in the secondary have been fantastic. Defensive line, we have the best defensive line room in the country every year. Our one spot that's lacking depth is linebacker. And I'm going to tell you right now, Jaden Perlotti and Jaden Harmon, they're ready. Like, they can come in and they can give us good snaps. I love what I saw from both of them yesterday. So, I'm not as concerned about Spillman being out. Ben Bolton, he's a sequence guy. You're only going to use him in certain scenarios, but he can give you a few snaps here and there. And I think Perlotti showed that he can show up and do some things. So I think between T. Lander, Arian Carter, Jaden Perlotti, Jaden Harmon, Ben Bolton, we'll be fine in the first half.
Yeah,
it'll be all right.
I agree with Ruston, and I think we sometimes say, okay, well, Gibson's out, and so is McCoy. Okay, these guys are stepping in and playing well, and they are. But I think what's easily forgotten is that if those 2 guys were in, that changes what the offense is going to do.
Yeah,
their entire scheme is going to change because they have to deal with those 2 beasts back there.
That's a great point.
Absolutely. And all of a sudden, I said this a few weeks ago, imagine a secondary that has Gibson and McCoy at the corners. Colton Hood gets to slide in and play the nickel.
Man.
So now you can just play straight man all over the place and send the house every down.
Oh, for sure.
Boo Carter gets to move back and play safety where he should be, because he's a terrible nickel cover guy. All of a sudden that's a completely different defense and probably the best secondary in the entire SEC.
Amen. That's it. That's it.
Mississippi Vol, welcome, buddy. He said, speaking of Colton Hood, he has been a godsend for sure. Can you imagine where they'd be without him right now? Let's see. Carson, glad you're here, buddy. Skipping on down here. And Mississippi Vol said, I think Perlotti has worked his way into more playing time. He sure has. Let's see. Billy's hitting a hard-hitting news here. He's right. He said, I wonder, did everyone get cookies when our kicker hit the ball through the uprights. Since it was a 50-yard or more field goal, everybody at Moonshine Cookie Company or whatever it's called got 2 free cookies today. So yeah, if you're still watching, put us on your phone and try to get over there before they close.
Have you guys, I bet you've talked about this, and I watch a lot of your work on here, but it's interesting to me about Colton Hood. You know, when he came through the portal from Colorado, there was so much, as we would say in New York City, mishigas going on. He kind of came in under the radar, and he didn't get a lot of fanfare. And now it's like, this kid's great. It's like, well, you know, we don't, because I know I was just as guilty. It's like, oh, we got this kid. Hopefully he's going to play well. Oh, he's played better than well.
Yeah. From the day he walked on campus, I kept telling everybody, folks, this dude had to cover Travis Hunter every day in practice. There is nothing that's going to shake this kid. Like there's literally no one on the schedule that he's going to be worried about.
That's it. Yep.
He's next level, man. He is next level. Mississippi Vol said, I think our young linebackers are faster and a little more athletic, taking some lumps this year, but man, it's going to pay off for us next year. That's a great point. Let's see. John said Spillman being out for the first half of Bama worries me for multiple reasons, primarily because of depth, and I get that. Let's see.
I think where it hurts us the most is zone coverage. Jeremiah Thielander does a horrendous job staying in his hook zone. The last touchdown pass that Arkansas threw was 100% Thielander's fault. He left his hook zone and left the receiver standing wide open. If he had stayed in his zone, the kid that caught the ball isn't visible. So that was 100% Thielander's fault. You know, I think what you'll probably see is you'll start seeing them really trying to sub as much as possible based on situation. Passing downs, you'll see Bolton and Perlotti in there instead of Thielander. You know, Arian Carter's not going to leave the field. He'll be out there the whole game. But you know, they've got enough guys. They can play situational football and make sure that the right people are on the field for the right plays. You know, obviously Alabama knows that too, so they'll probably do some play action stuff on first down and try to attack Jeremiah Thielander, you know, because he'll be out there to stop the run. And you know, he's going to get exposed. He's not a coverage guy. But you know, as much as possible, they'll try to play situational football.
You know, this might be a bit of a pedestrian point, but we collectively, we spend time talking about, the things that we have to deal with Alabama. You know, newsflash, they have to deal with us too. They have a lot. Their hands are full dealing with our guys as well. So let's not forget that.
Yeah. I'll tell you, after watching this weekend, and this is something I've been thinking watching the last few weeks, but I think it really solidified this past weekend. In my opinion, across the country right now, there's Ohio State, and then there's a bunch of other people. Yeah. And there's a big gap between those two places.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put Sam's comment on the screen here because I'm going to CG what you just said about they have to deal with us too. His comment leads me to what I'm going to say here. He said, with a 3-score lead, I don't understand going in a shell and playing down to the competition. Does this coaching staff believe in their defense? Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. They definitely certainly took their foot off the gas. However, we got a Bama fan in the comments. Evan's back. Evan Myrick, welcome, buddy. He said either team can win the game. It's a 50-50 game. So I'm going to build off of that. I almost think that playing at Alabama against Tuscaloosa is going to be better for Josh Heupel's offense than being up by 3 scores yesterday against Arkansas.
Yeah,
because
that's a good point.
Listen, we're not going to stop Alabama's offense, and so he will not have the opportunity to take his foot off the gas. I think all of us could agree Heupel's offense works best when he is snapping the ball every 8 seconds like he wants to do, and they are churning it down the field, man. He will not have the opportunity to not do that against Alabama. And so I honestly wonder if it's going to be better for the offense to be in that situation where it's a neck and neck game the whole game long than to be up by 3 scores and we take our foot off the gas a little bit. I'm just curious to see how that plays out next week, but I'll save that. We're going to ask CG. We're going to finish the show by asking him his thoughts on that here in a little bit. Evan said, you may stop our offense. We do not have a run game and our starters concussed.
Correct. And I don't know if you saw when they took Jam Miller off the field, he will be concussed. He was not in a good place. That's going to be a serious concussion. He may miss more than a week.
Well, so our final normal question that we're going to do this evening, and we would love to hear everybody's comments of your play of the game in the comments as well. CG, you're up first. What was your play of the game yesterday for the Vols and the Hogs?
I'm going to give you 1 and 1A. I'll give you 1A first. 1A was the first.
I love this. CG's already in Vol Bros form because this is what we do. We can never pick just one.
No, not we. Don't say we.
Okay, it's just me. I get it.
One because I'm a purist.
I may or may not have 3 or 4 tonight.
Plays of the game, and I'm like, it's a singular word. It's play of the game.
Well, you know, I'm going to be a bit rebellious and go with 1A first, and that was when the official actually called the first penalty on our that to me that was the salient moment of that quadrant of the game. It's like, wow, it actually happened. But my play of the game for me, for a couple of reasons, was Joseph strip sack, and then 4 plays later, Lewis takes it into the end zone. We go up 34-17, and even though we didn't roll from there, that was significant because that meant that was at least another series that we were going to stick them with to have to try to come back. It was enough of a pad that we were going to be able to run the clock, run our offense, and they were just going to run out of time. And so for me, that combo, the play was that to me, that was the play of the game. And then four plays later, Peyton Lewis goes in, and for all intents and purposes, it was ultimately ball game.
I love that. That's a great choice. Well done, sir. And I love the multiple plays because I may or may not be guilty of that frequently. Ruston, what was your play of the game?
With 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, it's 3rd and 1. Bobby Petrino burns his last time out to try to get the ball back. Josh Heupel goes.
Hang on. I'm thinking of Georgia Auburn. That was terrible timeout on that one. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, Josh Heupel goes power I with redshirt freshman Carson Gentle, a starting defensive end who was a really good tight end in his time here in Chattanooga at McCallie. Lined up as the lead blocker and runs off tackle power, reverts back to the 1970s. For 7 yards to ice the game. And Carson Gentle eliminated the hole. Like, there was no one to be found. he obliterated every filler and then jumped up and pumped his fist afterwards just to make sure everybody knew that was him that opened that hole up.
That's good.
I love the creativity. He's got a former high school tight end who was a baller who probably should be playing tight end at Tennessee, to be candid. Rolled him out there as a lead blocker and just let him plow the way. And I love it. That was crazy creative.
He was still moving that dude 5 to 6 yards down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he planted him about 10 yards off the ball.
If everybody goes back and watch that play, look at number 35 in orange.
Yep, that's a good one.
I love that. That's great. All right. Well, so I got a couple honorable mentions here. Let's see. So, all right. I have to give honorable mention to late in the third quarter, Jeremiah Thielander shot a gap and made a tackle in the backfield that was reminiscent of Jeremiah Thielander as a freshman. It was beautiful. Such an athletic play. And remember, we weren't able to get that Washington kid on the ground the whole game long. And he just fires through a gap, wraps the kid up, takes him down. Loved it. Second honorable mention. How nice was it having David Hobbs back in the lineup? And there was one play in particular. It was down. It was deep in Arkansas territory. They run a stunt. I think Joshua Josephs was lined up on the same side as Devin Hobbs. They run a stunt. They cross. David occupies 2 defenders. Even though he's occupying 2 defenders, he's still able to keep one with one arm, the tackle, off of him, gets to the quarterback, and allows Josephs to make the sack as well. It was a grown man play. I absolutely loved it. So just for pure, physical effort and domination, that's got to be mentioned.
Yeah.
I got one more honorable mention because I can't not say this. Joey gets hurt. Clearly had the wind knocked out of him. He was struggling there for a second. Like, you could tell he was not doing good. And I loved what he said. It cracked me up after the game in the post-game presser. He said, the ball basically went into my stomach. And the dude, poor guy, he could not breathe. Was sitting there on the field for a second. He had the wind knocked out of him. He comes out of the game. First play back in the game. What happens? They run Joey again. How about that? Talk about a statement. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a mental and just a dominant statement to the whole team, not just the fans, to all of his teammates. Like, yeah, we're doing this. I loved it. Was a mentality play, and I loved it. So I got to give, that was almost my play of the game. But CG, just so you know, Ruston and I never confer beforehand on what we're going to pick. And it is shocking to me how many times we pick the same stuff.
It's a brotherly.
It's happened again.
Although I only pick one.
That's true.
Evan increases the probability odds by picking 6.
Yeah, that's true. Well, my definitive, though, my play of the game was the exact same play that Ruston said. Listen, everybody in the whole stadium knew where that ball was going. Everybody did. I was sitting there talking to the TV because, they can hear you when you talk to the TV. Absolutely. And I was sitting there saying, play action pass, throw it to Kitzelman over the middle. I was wanting him to leak Kitzelman out. And I know it's off the wall, but that's why I think it would have worked. Fake the run.
Honestly, I thought we were going to see a Peyton Manning replay. I thought they were going to naked boot off of it and let Joey take off.
Sure.
That's what I thought we were going to see.
If they had leaked Kitzelman out, that would have been a touchdown in my opinion. And so I was like, fake the handoff, throw it to Kitzelman, touchdown. Like, I was sitting there saying that. But, in the back of my mind, I'm like, but they're about to hand the ball off to, that's what's about to happen. Everybody in the whole place knew what was coming. Everybody on Arkansas's defense knew what was coming. And that was just a moment where Tennessee said, you know what? We're going to be better than you at this particular moment in the game. And it was Miles Kitzelman. It was Carson Gentle. It was Lance Hurd. It was Sham Umarov. And the 4 of those dudes totally moved all of Arkansas's defenders out of the way. And in a moment where it was a put up or shut up kind of moment, they put all their cards on the table and they said, this is ours. And they went out and they took the game. And I was like, man, what a play. Offense moving, the whole defense 7 yards down the field. And like Ruston said, I love the Chattanooga native right here in Chattanooga. Carson Gentle got in the game in that play and got to help move the pile. It was awesome.
There was I'm glad that you mentioned that play when Joey came back and he called himself. There was a quarterback years ago in the Minnesota Vikings, Joe Cap. And Joe Cap's offensive line used to buy him dinner. They loved his toughness. He's like, just give me the darn ball and I'm taking it. That play may have been the signature play of the year for Joey to say to everybody, look, I'm going to lead the way here, and I'm going to show those guys in the maroon or the cardinal or whatever the hell they call their color jerseys that I'm tougher than all of them. I thought that was an absolute signature statement play by him.
Absolutely. Yep. It pumped me up. I was sitting an hour and a half away, but it pumped me up. I was ready to go. I mean, it was a statement play for sure. Some of the comments coming through for people's play of the game. Sam said he expects Jordan Ross to have a huge week this week. Oriel Puppy Dog said Joshua Joseph's play where he had the strip sack was his play of the game. Obviously, one of the things that made that so important was the moment in the game that it happened. It was a critically important moment. Let's see. I'm going to skip. I'm just going to put the plays that I see on here. Tony said, my play of the game showing extreme hustle and arriving with bad intentions. Hit by Ross and Farouk causing the fumble. Yeah. Hey, kudos to Idris Farouk. I mean, he put his helmet right on the ball.
Mm-hmm. So I thought Idris played really, really well. I thought Andre Turntime did a good job. But let me tell you a stat that cannot happen next week. Do you know who our leading tackler was yesterday? Andre Turrentine with 11.
Oh, that's not good.
That's not good.
Do you know who our second leading tackler was?
Probably Idris
Farouk with 9.
Yeah.
We don't need to have another game this year where our 2 starting safeties are our top 2 tacklers. No. That is not a good stat.
It's never good when the running backs make it to that level of the defense.
Yeah.
That's not good. No.
Mr. Jones said Max Gilbert's 52-yard field goal was his play of the game. Let's see. Josh made a good point. He said, think about the number of wide open receivers Heupel and company dialed up last year versus Kane Womack's defense. Aguilar will make those throws.
True.
Saturday night's going to be a shootout. I totally agree. It's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yep.
Let's see. Audrey said her play of the game was Joey taking out the communication panel for Arkansas.
With his face.
Seriously. I mean, he hit that thing hard. That dude shoved him right into it. I know it, but man, he hit it hard.
By the way, for those who know Audrey, they'll appreciate this. I have it on good authority that Audrey for Halloween is going to be dressing as an official.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Let's see. Mr. Jones said Colton Hood is his MVP of the season as far as he's concerned.
Yeah, he's had an unbelievable year.
Fantastic.
Let's see. Mr. Jones said his plays of the game were 2 Peyton Lewis touchdowns from goal-to-go situations. He said getting those tough yards will be needed next Saturday. He's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to find the plays people are mentioning in the comments here. Nolan makes a good point as a channel member. He said, when Joey got hit and the offensive lineman came to protect him, that says a lot about how they feel about Joey, and that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Nolan made a good point. So CG, just so you know, he said Audrey on Halloween, and it's any 3 fans. So we had this deal during SEC basketball season, particularly women's basketball, but both really. And now it's carried on into the season. Audrey said that refs are our favorite people. So Ruston said they could literally just go like during basketball season. He said they could have like a lottery system before the game and go up in the stands and randomly pick any 3 fans, and they would do a better job officiating the game than the officials on the court.
Take a page out of the Savannah Bananas book. A little banana book. Bring it to the officials. Yeah.
I never cease to be amazed. Like, I used to try to figure out in my head why they call some things they call, but the SEC women's officials are just unbelievably bad on every night basis. And like sometimes I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't even know how you came to that conclusion. Like nothing happened right there that should have caused you to blow your whistle and signal what you just signaled. It's unbelievable how bad they are.
Somebody, a media guy, I'm not going to say who, down in your region, said to me once about this very issue. And, my hand to God said, you know what? When they have career days, SEC women's officials must have a career day. We just come up, you sign your name, and you get what size are you? You're medium? Here you go. And that's that.
That sounds about right, actually. Josh has asked the $1 million question. He said, any chance we see McCoy against Alabama? No one knows the answer to that question, because you're asking, will the Tennessee Athletic Department be forthright in bringing information about an injury?
Good luck.
No, they will not.
Jeez.
I was really surprised. I was really surprised he didn't get any snaps yesterday. I really thought we'd see him at least for a little bit. So yeah, I think it's anybody's guess.
Hey, Bobby's throwing out a score prediction for next week. He nailed this week. He said 34-31 this week. He's saying 54-51 Vols next week. I hope you're right, man. That'd be awesome.
That's one thing I think we can do, is I think we can outscore them. You're not saying we're going to, but I think we can. We've got the firepower and the mentality to do that. I really believe that.
Carson said his play of the game was Joey's first run coming back from injury. Let's see. Well, I think I got most of the comments. I apologize. I didn't get all of them. I apologize. Vol Don't Lie said Ross and Josephs are going to take over in Tuscaloosa. Mark it down. I hope so, man. I hope so. Tennessee needs them to.
Yeah.
Well, since we got all this talk going on about Carl gave his play of the game. Carl said T-Lander with a pass breakup with just over 4 minutes left in fourth and 4. Vol Don't Lie said strip sack for Jordan Ross. Well, CG, our last question of the night's for you. First of all, thank you so much for taking time to be with us.
My great pleasure. Believe me. This has been fun.
You're welcome. Hey, you're welcome here anytime. Just so you have a standing invitation.
You have my number. You just let me know and I'll be there.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Obviously the third Saturday in October is upon us, and this is going to be a huge week. Have to go to Tuscaloosa. Let's be honest for a moment. 2 years ago, when Tennessee went to Tuscaloosa, they should have won the game. They were dominating at halftime, and it was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde first and second half. So, CG, I just want to know your opinion. What do you foresee? What do you think? What are your thoughts about this upcoming Saturday for what is bound to be a really good game?
I sent you some audio earlier, and I'll share this with Ruston and with your great audience. I've had the pleasure of having Aaron Hayden on my show a couple of times, and I posted the audio on Twitter a number of times, and I should do it again after. In fact, I will post it again. I asked Aaron, what is the mentality of this football team? Josh Heupel hasn't had a lot of great success in big games on the road, and some would extend that out to just the road in general. And Aaron Hayden's answer was something I've never forgotten. He said, Josh Heupel needs to pack up Neyland and bring it on the road. And what he meant was, he said, you know what? When we played, he goes, we were dogs. He said, we went to Athens and we owned them. We kicked the door in. That was our mentality. We went to Florida, and all of you listening, and I didn't know how to respond, so I'm technically challenged. But I'm going to post this. He said, we went to Florida, and they threw frozen oranges at us. They threw little liquor bottles at us, and we turned around, and he said, we responded in ways that maybe the university would not have been happy. But we responded. He said, we went on the road with the idea that we are going to own your building. And he said, CG, we owned those buildings. So my expectation for Saturday is it is Alabama. It is Kalen DeBoer, and it is an Alabama team and Alabama fans that are expecting this game is ours. I believe that if there's ever a time that Josh Heupel and his staff need to get in these guys' faces and change their attitude and say, we aren't hoping to win, we are expecting to win. Take that mentality, take that Aaron Hayden, pack up Neyland and take it on the road, put it in the truck and take it down to Tuscaloosa. This is the week. I expect this team to be dialed up with adrenaline. You're right. That first half, 2 years ago, we owned them, and we should have blown their doors off, and we let them off the hook from the first series on. So I'm expecting a big performance. I'm expecting a better performance, and I am expecting offensively this team to absolutely cut it loose.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm ready to go right now, CG. That's what I'm talking about. Josh said he'd fire me up. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Stingray said, preach it, CG. That's what I'm talking about. I'm ready now, man. I feel better about this game now than I did 5 minutes ago. That's what I'm talking about. Sam, welcome, Sam. He made a good point. He said this week it's Tennessee versus the Zebras more than anything. That's maybe actually pretty true. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. Some folks in the comments are saying Carson enjoyed that too. Some folks in the comments are saying it's going to be low score. I don't see it being a low scoring game. I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be one of those games where whoever has the ball last is going to win.
Yeah.
Sam said they need to have CG and Al Wilson speak to the team before the game. That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. Carson said, CG, come back for another show. You're a real one. I like that.
And anytime, it's like I said, it's been my privilege and honor to join you. Anytime you want me, I will join you.
Well, hey, just so you know, I've got one more surprise for you. Ruston, this is his favorite part. So
I'm still in shock. I'm still in shock that we do this.
We do it every time. It's the best part of the whole show. Anytime we have a brand new guest that joins our show, we have a special gift for you.
Oh,
I know that you have achieved incredible success in your career. You like we said earlier, 4-time award winner, for one category, 2-time for another. I mean, you're the man. But I think you've now reached the pinnacle of sports journalism for being on the Vol Bros, because now you are an honorary bro. And how about that? That is what I'm talking about. Let me see.
Here's what I'm going to do. So am I to understand that this shirt's going to come my way?
It is coming your way. It is coming your way.
So I'm an XL. And what I'm going to do is when I get it, I'll get my address stuff, is I will wear it in the KMJ studio and take a selfie with me and our big studio and post it on Twitter and tag you guys.
I love it. I love it. Thank you very much.
Forgive my interruption. Let me listen. The awards and all that stuff is great, but two things. One, the reason I've been blessed for those to come about is because you never lose focus and you guys know this better than just really anybody, is the focus is the audience. We do this work for everybody in that column. That's why we do this work. You never forget that. The other thing, I'm a Chicagoan. I was born and raised in Chicago. And while I like a good steak, give me a pool table and a beer and a burger and let's go. That's who I am at my core, or in this case, a little pulled pork, maybe some nice ribs. I like my ribs naked. I don't need fancy. So the awards are nice, but content is king. Like this tonight, the work is the thing, fellas.
Well, we appreciate that very, very much. Evan just gave
us
a new shirt idea.
It's funny every time we do this. So Cole Kublik was on the show last year, and he'll probably be on again before this year's over. And he told me we message back and forth every once in a while about SEC football, but he told me, Cole likes to wear a T-shirt with a blazer on top. And so he told me one game this year he'd wear the shirt on the sideline on ESPN, and I keep forgetting. He told me to remind him so that he would pack it and do it. And every time we do this, it reminds me I've got to tell Cole he's got to wear the shirt. But it's amazing how many of these are out there and all the different places and all the different things they've been used for. It blows my mind.
I'm honored. I will wear it, like I said. And, two people who are watching tonight are my daughters down in Los Angeles and San Diego. They're 18 and 22. The younger one once was texting me. Her name is Cadence. And she texted me. She said, "Hey, bro." And I said, "Okay, let's just stop right there." Dad or daddy, No, bro. Isn't that? But I'm going to wear this with a picture with her sometime, and she's going to have a big old cheesy smile. So that I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, fellas.
Absolutely. You are officially an honorary bro now.
My 14-year-old son calls my wife and I in text, bruh. And I'm like, you do that again. Yes, and I swear that phone will be mine.
That's fantastic.
Well, to the 190 people watching across all 3 platforms, we really do appreciate you very much. Audrey just asked about, what about bruh?
Yeah,
we sure do appreciate everybody watching. To all the comments that I wasn't able to get to tonight, I apologize about that, but we appreciate all those. I love Josh's comment. I'll end with this one. He said, this Saturday, Max Gilbert redeems himself with a game-winning field goal.
Love it.
How about that? That would be amazing, especially on the road in Tuscaloosa. That'd be amazing.
Play and player of the game right there. If that happens.
That's exactly right. That's our show next
short
week
show.
right there. Like that is it. That is it. We appreciate you all so much for joining us in the comments. We love it, man. Every time we love it. CG, thank you again so much for being so generous with your time. We really appreciate you. If you can hang on just a second after I sign off, I'll get your info.
Okay.
But we appreciate everybody so much for joining us. Go Vols, baby. And we will see all of you Thursday night. We'll be live Thursday. Actually, I'm so glad I'm saying this. I totally forgot. Thursday night, there is a Alabama podcast in the Believe Entertainment Network who will be joining us this Thursday. And so we'll get to preview the Bama game with a Bama podcast. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm curious to see what they say. So be sure to join us this Thursday night at 9:00 Eastern time. We'll be live then. And so we look forward to seeing everybody then. Hope all of you have a fantastic week. Go Vols, baby. And we will see everyone very, very soon.